the social media companies want to stoke outrage, want to fire us up, want to divide us. My feed on Twitter or Facebook, whatever, will look totally different from my neighbors, and my news consumption will be completely manipulated based on my prior likes and so on. It's not just about like giving you what's in the news today. It's about trying to collate results that they think will fire you up or outrage you in particular. And then when we all sit back and we ask, why are we so divided? Why don't we feel patriotic anymore? Why do we all hate each other? And there really are answers to those questions.
There's a lot there. So I'm trying to think of how to kind of explain this. There's a financial incentive. There's a business model incentive to social media, which is to keep you on site, because most of these companies are ad-based, which means that in order to serve you an ad, you have to be there to see it. This creates a kind of perverse incentive where they're constantly gathering data to try to make sure that they're serving you content that you're interested in so that you stay on site. And what starts to happen is that, they want to show you content that you're going to engage with. So if you join groups, they're going to show you a lot of posts from those groups. If you follow friends and you engage with, baby pictures and wedding pictures, that's always going to be kind of pushed into your feed because people love baby pictures and wedding pictures. So it's not so much a deliberate intent to say like, we want to rile people up. But the problem is that the intersection of social media dynamics with human nature and with the polarization that does exist creates an unfortunate feedback loop where the user does have agency. We can decide what to click on, we can decide what to share, but we're picking what to click on and what to share from content that's been curated for us or recommended to us. So that's where the kind of agency intersects with the algorithm, right? And then we have these tools that we've been given to be propagators. And one of the things that social science regularly shows is that people tend to propagate messages that are, they have a strong what's called signaling factor. I am a member of this political tribe. I am a member of this American identity. I am a member of this particular group. And oftentimes people really respond to language of like moral righteousness, right? And so you're saying, I am outraged about this story and I think the world needs to know. And so I am going to click that share button. Again, this is content that's been curated for and recommended to me. I do have the decision and what I want to do with it. But in that moment, because of the norms and the behaviors that we've kind of come to embody on social media, the way that online behavior, particularly on Twitter, which is really like the arena, the way that that's evolved, we do tend to share this stuff that has this strong component, the strong moral component, where we're saying, as a good Democrat, I am very outraged about this particular political decision that these other guys did, and so I am going to share along that story that makes them look terrible, which is then going to continue to propagate. It's a challenge because you do want social media to serve as an amplifier, as a way to call attention to speak. This is where we can talk about the Elon, that what he's actually asking for in the free speech kind of debate is actually a really interesting thing to interrogate. But we are using them increasingly as like kind of factional battles for attention, ways to activate political tribes, again, fundamentally in opposition to each other. And so just to kind of connect it back to Russia, there are these, and China and Iran, and every nation state has these accounts at this point. It's not new anymore. It's not novel. Most of them are not particularly impactful. That is one thing I really do want to caveat. There are hundreds of thousands of Chinese bots. They just don't get much engagement. So you have these things that are throwing, accelerants on the fire, but the fire is really domestic at this point. It's really domestic American influencers, domestic, highly activist crowds, constantly, fighting in this particular environment, again, through this sort of the unintended consequences of the business model incentive structure, the curation and recommendation tools that were, the algorithms that were developed. And
you say unintended, that may have been true originally, but now that it's been called to their attention, you can't say that anymore. They know what they're doing. They don't care.
Yes.
Look at the whistleblower, from Instagram and Facebook. Like, they know. They don't care. Their money's more important to them than the wellness of the country.
I think that, I'm not going to dispute that. I think that there's a lot of really horrible stuff that came out in the whistleblower thing. But there's one thing that has been really interesting, which is this question of once those networks have been established, meaning once we've all kind of self-sorted over the last 7 years into these very highly activist online factions, it's really hard to know what to do next. So even when the platforms decide, hey, we recommended QAnon to these hundreds of thousands of people, what do you do after that, right? This is where I kind of feel like we're paying debt, the debt accrued from
maybe they could
these
just leave us
terrible
alone.
decisions that were made
Maybe
back
the
then.
answer's not in the curating, it's in the obsessive, need to make us part of their feed every 2 minutes, all the notifications and maybe that's the answer. Now you've created this monster by feeding us all this disinformation and trying to shove us into these groups that are highly partisan or what have you. Maybe the answer is, since you can't undo it, leave us alone. Let us go on Facebook if we want to go on Facebook. Stop tapping us on the shoulder all day and having the computer think about how to get into our heads.
This is where I think I've had Twitter notifications. Twitter's my favorite social media platform. It's the one I spend the most time on. Despite all the, the critiques, all the disasters, I really do find it an interesting place for hearing novel things that I wouldn't hear otherwise and seeing people's perspectives. I like Twitter, but I did turn off notifications about 5 years ago. And I think that,
smart.
It means that I open it on my terms as opposed to getting some kind of push notification. I think Tristan talks about this a lot in The Social Dilemma, and we're starting to see Apple kind of come in. You might notice if you get a lot of notifications from a particular app, Apple will actually kind of pop up a prompt if you have an iPhone asking, do you want to receive these, right? And so it's constantly saying, how do we avoid, it's almost like the device manufacturers sort of serves as the gating function against the excessive push notifications. But I get them from, media apps. It's just, everything is a constant battle for attention. And so whether that's social media or even, again, unfortunately, media properties, media apps needing to compete for attention, wanting to drive people directly to their apps, this phenomenon of the constant, incessant push notification, constantly.
Well, yes, but it's not the same. And I'll be the first to tell you that cable news is based on outrage, and they want you to be on their websites as much as anybody else. But they're not they don't have the access to so much personal information about you in the way that your phone does. That's what's so dangerous about the social media companies. They can see everything. Gathering around the dinner table has been the catalyst for change since the beginning of time. Good things happen at the dinner table. Ronald Reagan once said, all great change in America starts at the dinner table. If we can return to eating meals together as a family, then we can create the conversation and the change we want to see. Maybe it feels overwhelming to get everybody together and then still also make a great meal, but Good Ranchers has got you. They make it easy. Pull out a Good Ranchers package of beef, chicken, seafood, season it with salt and pepper, and then cook it up however you like. It tastes great. Or if you want it pre-marinated, they've got that too. Every box you get is superior quality, flavor, and value. Good Ranchers is a company that supports American agriculture and business. You're already buying meat. Why not support an American company like Good Ranchers? Use my code Megyn to get $30 off your order plus free shipping. Make gatherings at the table easy and fun with Good Ranchers. Go to goodranchers.com/MEGYN to bring your family and friends to the table and eat some seriously delicious food. goodranchers.com/Megyn. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.